What would it look like for us to take seriously the reasons women give for getting abortions? Some of the loudest pro-lifers believe that considering reasons why women get abortions will somehow give credence to the pro-choice cause, and thus the legality of abortion. Some of the loudest pro-choicers believe women aren't exercising their agency if they aren't choosing abortion. There are numerous unintended consequences from this, not the least of which is the overwhelming sense that the abortion debate is entirely intractable. But what if we decided to listen? What if women seeking abortion were actually behaving rationally? What if they don't see abortion as an exercise of free choice, but of no other choice? What if political pundits and fringe extremists do not speak for women with unplanned pregnancies? What if, by listening, we let them live? Join me, Carrie Baldwin, with Emily Berning as we dare to think about what it will take for women to choose life. I am very excited to bring you my next guest, Emily Berning. Emily is the president and co-founder of Let Them Live, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to saving lives from abortion by financially supporting women in crisis pregnancies. She has been involved with the pro-life movement for over 7 years, and her greatest passion in life is giving pregnant women the support they need to choose life. Emily holds a bachelor's degree in biology from Colorado State University and met her husband, Nathan, the summer after she graduated. They started Let Them Live together 3.5 years ago and have grown it to a team of over 70 staff and 200 volunteers that have helped 400 women cancel their abortions and choose life. Emily and Nathan love working together and are currently writing a book about their experience with Let Them Live. Emily, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie.
So I've heard some bits and pieces about your backstory. So before we jump into Let Them Live's mission, tell us a bit about yourself and how you started.
I always start with the fact that I grew up pro-life, like in a family that was pro-life, but never really knowing what that actually meant and what that meant for our culture, for myself. And so when I went to college, that was really when I kind of had a wake up. I had a wake up call like, okay, no matter what way you look at it, abortion is a problem. It's an issue, like regardless of what side of the debate you're on. And it's an issue that has to be addressed. So when I was in college, I decided to do research myself. Like, what am I going to be? Am I, and if I am pro-life, which I obviously am, I need to be able to defend my position. And so I started researching, I started reading books, I started learning how to reach out to people and to change their minds on the issue and have civil discussions. And that just really appealed to me somehow. So my path was to be a veterinarian. And about my junior year, I actually decided to jump ship on that. And I remember calling my parents up and I said, hey, I'm not going to be a veterinarian anymore. I know I said I was going to do that my whole life, but I'm going to be a pro-life activist now. And they were just like, I heard, you could just hear a pin drop. They had their concerns, but it was just literally a calling I had. It feels like I just woke up one day and I was like, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So, I did the bare minimum to get my degree. C's get degrees, but during that time, I was skipping class. I was doing pro-life activism. I was on campus. I was changing people's minds. So I started getting really passionate. And then as graduation was looming, I had the fear of oh crap, what's next? What am I going to do with my life? How am I going to make money? And so I actually got connected with an organization called the Leadership Institute, which was a conservative, pro-life nonprofit based out of Arlington, Virginia. And they train students on college campuses to be effective activists. So I actually had someone from the Leadership Institute who worked with me to have an effective Students for Life group on campus. So I got connected with them. And then I actually got recruited to be part of their field rep training program to work for them. And that's actually where I met Nathan. So this whole change of path really led down this entirely new path that I would have never had I not just taken the leap of faith. Mm-hmm. So once I met Nathan, he and everybody else called me pro-life Emily. They saw this is my issue. This is the cause that I'm wanting to fight for. So he really encouraged me to start a nonprofit. And I kind of looked at him sideways, like, how do you even do that? I have no idea. All I have is passion. Luckily, he had some major backgrounds in like social media marketing and starting up businesses. So we turned out to be a really good pair. So together we started Let Them Live, and we didn't initially know what Let Them Live was going to be. We are kind of just a generic pro-life organization that existed. But a couple months after Nathan and I got married, he was on Facebook late one night, and there was a girl who was talking about how her cousin had an abortion scheduled. So Nathan reached out to her just to see like if there was anything that we could provide. And it turns out that she was pregnant. She got evicted. She lost her job. She was living in her car middle of December or beginning of December. It was freezing. And that's just not a way for someone who's pregnant to be living.
Right.
And so Nathan reached out and said, hey, like, what can we do? And she really needed financial help. So Nathan and I gave her everything we had in our bank account. And we helped get her back into her apartment, and she canceled her abortion.
Wow.
It was in that moment that we kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, there's probably other women that are having an abortion, not because they necessarily want one, but because they feel like they have no other option because of their financial situation. And then we did some digging and found that 73% of women have abortions because of financial burden in the US. And that was kind of our light bulb moment that there really wasn't a solution to that problem in the pro-life movement. And that's what we were going to do. So that's how we got started.
Oh, I think it's amazing. It's an amazing story. And not just that, I really love that this is something that you started because you were passionate about it, not because you knew how to run a nonprofit and you had, all of this executive leadership experience.
I'm still learning.
Yes. You just said, hey, we're gonna jump into this and we're gonna do it because there's a need. I love it. Okay, so eventually you found a mission for Let Them Live. So tell us about that. What's the mission?
Yeah, the mission is so simple. We provide the financial support that women need to have the confidence to choose life over abortion. Like I mentioned, there are real financial reasons that women are considering abortion as an option. And as a pro-life movement, it's not enough to only address the fact that the human being that is growing inside the womb is in fact a human being, right? We're going to have to dive a little deeper and say, okay, this woman is also a human being. What are the experiences that she's going through? Let's tap into that. And for us, we've been putting aside the political banter. We're a nonprofit 501c3, so we don't deal in like lobbying or legislation. And that's super important because in my experience, when we've talked to women, they don't know about what Republicans are saying or Democrats or what this law or that law is. They are in their own mind, in their own situation, trying to figure out how they're going to bring another child into the world. And it might not just be, they can't pay their rent. It could be that they are a victim of domestic violence. It could be, that they don't have any support from their family. It could be that they were raped or sexually assaulted. So all of these things are deeper rooted issues. And it's 2023. It's not enough to just slap abortion on as a quote solution to these deeper rooted issues. We actually have to dive in. So that's what Let Them Live does. We get to know these women. We say, okay, what are you dealing with right now and how can we help? And then we mostly figure out those financial solutions for them.
I think that's great. And my perspective on this, I've never had an abortion. I've never considered an abortion, but I did come out of an abusive marriage. And I know that one of the key things to helping me survive with my 3 kids was financial support from my family and how important that is. I wonder if you might, this is sort of an impromptu question, but I think you can answer it pretty well. How would you describe the cost of motherhood?
The cost of motherhood. Well, it's so interesting because there's the tangible costs, and then there's obviously intangible costs. But we're breaking it down to, what our core number is at Let Them Live, for example. What does it take to show a mom that she has that support? On average, it's about $19,000. It was a lot less a couple of years ago. I mean, there's been so much inflation. Obviously, that's not $19,000 is not going to take care of a child for, 18 years. But I had a great conversation with one of the moms that we helped. Her name is Diamond. And I said, Diamond, what do you think when people say, kind of the argument of, are you going to take care of their baby for 18 years? She said, as a mother, it makes me feel terrible or incapable that somehow I can't get out of my situation and provide for my child for 18 years. And I don't need anybody to provide for my child for 18 years because that's what I'm here for. I'm her mom. And so I thought that was really impactful. So to go back, our core number is $19,000, and that's the average. Obviously, women need more help than others. Some just need more emotional support than they do financial. And some moms are in some real serious financial trouble. We just had a mom recently who had about $15,000 in back rent, and she was about to be evicted. So our goal in that moment, that kind of emergency situation, was to prevent that eviction and pay her back rent and help her feel like, she had that burden off of her shoulders, because the reality is that abortion is permanent, but circumstances are temporary. And so if we can relieve those temporary circumstances, we can help her to see kind of the longer term plan.
You also mentioned the 73% statistic. 73% of women choose abortion because of financial burdens. I had mentioned in the email that I take more of an economic position or perspective on this. Would you say, and you mentioned this a little bit, but I would love to hear you talk a little bit more. Would you say these women want their babies but are feeling left with no other choice than abortion? Like that's not actually their first choice?
100%. I would say that all of the moms that we've talked to, they say almost that exact same thing. I don't want to do this. I feel like I have no other option. And that's the reality of the situation that a lot of women are in. And, I kind of talk about like coerced abortions. And to me, a coerced abortion is any abortion that a woman is having that she truly doesn't want. And that includes these women that are having abortions because of financial burden. And the biggest issue that we face is making sure that women know that there is a resource, that Let Them Live is there to help them, because our culture is, and I don't know how we got here, but our culture says, oh, you're experiencing a problem, you're experiencing a crisis pregnancy, you can't afford your baby. Okay, just go to Planned Parenthood. They'll take care of it for you. Yeah. But the reality is that there's a lot of other options, and there's actually a lot of help that is out there for these women.
Yeah, I've sort of gotten the sense that, or the impression that abortion is more of a canary in the coal mine sort of issue, that it's an indication that there's a lot wrong going on around us, right? So the fact that we can't afford basic necessities, the issue of domestic violence, and that's not a resolved problem, even medical issues and disability and how our medical system is treating that.
Yes. And women too, that are in the ALICE group. So the asset limited income constrained employed group, they have a job, they're making money. It's not enough to put food on the table, but it's too much to get on government support. Like they are really stuck between a rock and a hard place, and we're supposed to be there for them,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How does the overturn of Roe change how we respond to women with unplanned and unwanted pregnancies?
It's a great question. I think, really we have to hone in on the women now, because I think before Roe was, overturned, the focus really was on the child in the womb, and rightfully so. There was save the baby, which is absolutely a goal. Of course, we want to do that. But I think it's more now on changing the culture than it is changing the laws, because what we've seen is that laws can change, right? Roe v. Wade was overturned. Mm-hmm. There are still so many abortions happening. Was it a victory? Absolutely. But do we still have so much work to do? Yeah, we definitely do. So we're seeing a change in mindset of organizations. Either organizations are shifting their mission, or they are, there's other organizations that are popping up, or they're starting other organizations like Susan B. Anthony List, for example. They started Her Plan, which is a comprehensive resource for women to go find all of the resources available to them, including Let Them Live. And so we're seeing the shift of, okay, women need to know that they have help, especially in states like California and New York. And also because, and this is something I knew was going to happen, there are organizations that not only pay for abortions, but pay for travel for abortions, companies that do the same thing. So even if you are in a state where abortion's not available, the access to abortion via, travel and grants is more than ever. And then even worse than that is the accessibility of chemical abortions being ordered online. And so no matter what is happening legally, women, we need to change their minds. We need to change their hearts. They have to know what resources are for them. So really, we've just been honing in and we haven't been letting up. There was a donor who emailed me right when Roe was overturned. And he said, okay, so now that abortion is illegal and it's not going to happen anymore, like you guys are going to change your mission, right? Like, what are you going to do now? And I was really shocked because I thought, oh no, if that's what people are thinking in the pro-life movement, then we're in trouble, because this is not the time to take your foot off the gas pedal. This is the time to realize that, like I said, there are states where abortion is still legal. Women can travel. Organizations that are like Let Them Live, but the exact opposite, are paying for that, covering, these things. And so we just have to be more vigilant than ever and utilize technology too, utilize social media, utilize the ways that we have in 2023 to reach as many women as possible.
Yeah, I've noticed with the overturn of Roe, I've noticed a few different responses. Some pro-lifers seem to think, okay, it's over. Like we just get to prosecute women who are seeking abortion, and that'll be it. That'll keep them from seeking abortion, and problem solved. I've seen others say, okay, yeah, we do need to step up and offer help and that sort of thing. And of course, I've seen it on the other side. Those states, offering to pay, corporations offering to pay for abortion services. And I'm also of the opinion that you're going to have black market offerings for abortion services, even in those states where it's not legal. And so sort of the mentality that I've tried to get people in is, how do you get that woman who has already ordered the abortion pill, right? And she's standing in her bathroom staring herself in the mirror. How do you get her to choose to throw that away instead of swallowing that pill? And that's a very different situation. The law isn't necessarily going to stop her from doing that. Speaking of law, how does politics get in the way of your mission?
That's such a great question. I mean, it's such an interesting question because we haven't had any direct, issues with legislation necessarily coming in direct conflict with our mission. However, I just had a dinner last night and I was talking to a group of people, and one of them just became the CEO of a nonprofit that helps house women. And she was telling the story of how they were founded and how it started in New Jersey, and she was housing women. And then the state of New Jersey, basically fined them for too many people that are unmarried living under one roof, that type of thing. I mean, so it's not directly like abortion laws, but there are like some pretty ridiculous things that come in the way. The problems that we face are maybe in conflict with other pro-lifers. For example, there are some pro-lifers that are just very politically driven. They don't think that offering women anything is the right thing to do. They think that women need to choose life because it's the right thing to do. And offering them any type of support, like the support that Let Them Live does, is like bribery, and so that's probably where the majority of like backlash we get is from those types of people, which is very frustrating because like I get everyone has different opinions, but really if we just boil it down, it's so simple. Women just need help. And sometimes if we overthink it, that can really cause issues. So we just have to keep it simple, ask women what they need help with, and then get them that help.
Well, and I think it's from the perspective of a single mother, it's empowering, right? If somebody's there supporting me and saying, okay, we're going to cover your struggle for now, right? We're going to give you this help, and we're going to point you in the right direction. This is empowering, being able to say, yes, you can take care of your child. And I see that as just the way forward for her, right? We don't have to say, yes, we endorse single motherhood, but we can say, okay, this is the situation you're in. Let's make the best of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And change the whole culture,
I hope you're enjoying this episode of Dare to Think. I'm Carrie Baldwin, and I'm an independent researcher with a degree in philosophy. My mission is to reignite curiosity and thoughtful reflection. by challenging and rethinking paradigms in politics, religion, and culture, and passionately promoting human freedom and flourishing. I accomplish this by producing content developed out of work as an independent researcher. My current project is formalizing my proposal for a libertarian theory of reproductive rights, which will seek to reconcile human rights between women and their offspring. At the end of this episode, I will be announcing a new way to help Emily and let them live. In the meantime, please subscribe to this podcast, Dare to Think, on your favorite podcatcher, and please go rate and review Dare to Think on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or Amazon. This will help others find my podcast. If you'd like to stay up to date on my latest articles and episodes, please subscribe to my monthly email list at mereliberty.com/signup. Now let's get back to the episode.
Stigma around, single motherhood. We don't necessarily need to say, yeah, everyone should be a single mom, but look, you are a single mom, that's okay. We're here for you. We're going to support you. We're going to make sure you're okay. And you did a good thing by giving your baby life. We need to promote that, and I think a lot of people can get caught up in what she should have done, or what she shouldn't have done prior in order to not get pregnant. But we have to step into her shoes currently. Okay, she's pregnant. There's no change in that. We're here right now,
Yeah.
She should, coulda, woulda. Yeah. Okay. But that's not helpful. So we got to figure out what the most helpful approach is.
So the next question I want to ask actually comes with a little bit of preface. It has to do with whether or not you get pushback from Christians or religious people about your mission. And I ask this question because as a Christian myself and, my own work that I'm doing with a libertarian theory, a pro-life libertarian theory, I'm sometimes criticized for not saying the solution to the problem of abortion is to just preach the gospel and get these women to repent and convert to Christianity. And then that's going to be the way that we end abortion. Do you get that kind of pushback?
Yeah, absolutely. And Let Them Live is a secular organization. And that decision was made very strategically. Nathan and I are both Christians. Our team, I would say 99% of us are Christians. And the decision to be secular was made. It's actually because of the way that Jesus calls us to a relationship with him, right? It's not forced. God doesn't force us. He's a gentleman. And it's not love, right? It's not love if you're forced to love someone, if you're forced to have a relationship with someone. And so in the same way, we thought, okay, the best analogy I can give is imagine an emergency room, your head is gushing blood, you have a terrible head injury and you go into the emergency room. Are they going to sit you down and they're going to say, okay, so tell me about, your faith. Tell me about how you got yourself in this situation. Tell me about, oh, you were drinking alcohol while you fell off your bike and that's how you cracked your head open. Okay, well, we need to talk to you first about why that's morally wrong. No, they're going to get you the help you need. They're going to stabilize you. And then if and when appropriate, there might have to be some sort of intervention, if you are having a struggle with drugs and alcohol. So that's kind of how I see our work with Let Them Live, right? We're not going to be outwardly, because a lot of women may not be receptive. They may not be in the place ready to receive that information. That doesn't mean that we're going to disqualify them from help. So what we need to do is respect that so that we can have the best chance at reaching them. Because a woman who's not receptive to hearing about faith, the second we say Jesus, she's going to shut down. And we have probably little to no chance of actually helping her and her baby. And so we're taking it from the approach of what does she need? And then when appropriate, we can either, get her connected with an Embrace Grace group at her church, connect her with a Bible study, have our counselors work with her on that. And so that's kind of our approach, but sure, that's not always popular with everybody, but I think this is kind of a new way of doing things, is not just immediately pushing religion out there. And I think it's important. This is how we're reaching so many women.
I think that head injury analogy is so great. It really, really paints the picture. Mm-hmm. Let me ask this. Why is Let Them Live something that people on both sides of the debate can get behind?
That is such a good question. The reality is that what we're doing with Let Them Live, while yes, we are a pro-life organization, it comes down to just helping people and helping women actually make the choice they want to make. So that actually appeals to people who are truly pro-choice. And that actually also helps us separate out the people that are pro-choice or the people that are pro-abortion, because the people that are pro-abortion do not support Let Them Live because we're providing them something else besides abortion. But we have a number of pro-choice donors who support us because they know that we are simply offering women another choice. Are we forcing them to take our support? No. All we can do is present the option and hope that they see that it has value to them. And so we've been able to pull people from both sides of the aisle, which I think is really important. This is a very divisive issue. So the more that we can get people on the same page and find common ground and bridge the gap, the better, because only then can we really find solutions to the deep-rooted issues that women are facing.
Yeah, I find in my own conversations with people, and when I talk to people about my libertarian view on abortion, what I find is that the vast majority of Americans seem to be in this gray middle, right? They describe themselves as pro-choice but, or they're pro-life but. And I feel like that's where most people are. They recognize on the surface that this is a complex issue and that there are hard issues that are associated with it that they just can't imagine solutions to. And so I think I mean, quite frankly, I think it's unhelpful to hear some of the abortion talking heads on both sides cite statistics about, okay, a majority of Americans favor choice as a euphemism for abortion. And, on the other side, a majority of Americans favor restrictions on abortion. I don't think that that's the right way of looking at that statistic. I think you're looking at a number of people who recognize the complexity of the issue. They want the best for both, but they don't know what the solution is.
Yep, 100%.
So you've mentioned this a little bit already, but I want to give you a chance to add to it if you've got any more on it. How are you different from other pro-life organizations?
That's such a great question too. The first thing that comes to mind is just our use of social media. Actually, again, had a conversation last night about this and how the pro-life movement just feels behind with technology and social media. And I'm not really sure the reason for that. But luckily, my husband, who's also the co-founder, he's very technologically minded, entrepreneurial minded, innovation minded, creative. And so he's started businesses and startups before, and he's tried to take that same mindset in starting a business and putting it into nonprofit work and specifically Let Them Live. And so something that really actually started Let Them Live, and the reason we have the donors we have and we've grown is because of social media. And social media just cannot be understated. And so I think the fact that we put so much emphasis on it and growing our social media, because that's just the fastest way to get information out and to spread the word, is definitely something that makes us stand out. The other thing is, again, just being secular in the sense of trying to understand women a little bit more, not from the singular lens of, well, I'm a Christian, so therefore the only way I can talk to women is if it involves, the gospel, but seeing it from a different perspective. Nathan, my husband, actually used to be pro-choice. And so he actually brings a lot of valuable perspective to the table of how should we approach these women? Does how we come off to them, how we talk to them come off? How, those types of things. And so those are the two main things. The other thing that I will say is Nathan and I are very kind of on the donor end of things. Nathan and I have established a very well-oiled machine when it comes to donor stewardship and cultivation. And the reason that we do that is because we know that is thanking our donors, showing them the impact of their donation and where their money is going, and making sure they know that they are just as much a part of this as we are, helps to cultivate an organization where donors want to keep giving. And when donors keep giving, because we're 100% donor funded, that means that we raise more money to help more moms to save more lives. And so a lot of organizations, I don't think, have those tools. We've donated to a number of organizations and haven't had the same donor experience that we provide to our donors. And so that's something that I think the pro-life movement could really benefit from as well, is just information on how to take their organization into the future for the long haul. And that involves building a growing donor base and making sure that they have the funds to do the work that they have to do.
Very good. Yeah, I found you guys through social media, through Facebook. Awesome. That's how I got to know you guys. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And in fact, I mean, you said that, how long have you been on Facebook?
We've been on Facebook since 2016. 17 or 18, I think.
Okay.
That's when we initially founded Let Them Live, but we didn't become a C3 till March of 2019. So
Okay. I think I found you guys in 2020. So
nice. Okay.
okay, so let me ask you about this. You've already started to touch on it. Describe the process for supporting women. What the type of support provided, that sort of thing. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple ways that women reach out to us. One of them is obviously social media, which has been a big way. There's an incredible story of a woman. She was actually in Planned Parenthood about to get an abortion. She was not set on that. She was so scared. And she found us on Instagram, messaged us, and our social media manager happened to see it at the time, looped in a pregnancy counselor, and the pregnancy counselor ended up letting her know, like, hey, go to the bathroom, let's talk. And she walked out of Planned Parenthood that day. So
Wow.
social media is one where we've had some incredible stories, like very last minute, like women on their way to the abortion clinic and they type in abortion in the explore page or something on Instagram, and then up pops Let Them Live. So that's a huge way. We also partner with pregnancy centers and sidewalk counselors and just other pro-life organizations, Live Action. They will sometimes have women contact them or men about, either they're getting an abortion or their significant other is. And so then they'll refer them to us. So once a woman comes in, she's initially triaged. And again, this kind of goes back to that emergency room scenario where triage is used. So Let Them Live specifically exists to support women that either have an abortion scheduled or they are going to schedule it, especially if they don't get the help that they really need. And so we triage the women. We say, okay, if a woman's not abortion minded, we're going to refer her to someone else. We're going to give her other resources. But if she is, going to have that abortion tomorrow, then that's when it's all hands on deck. So we'll get on a call with her. I say we, our pregnancy counseling team. Sure. And just to identify the problems that she's having, ask for what's going on. And that is the time for her to tell us what her financial struggles are, what her bills are, just kind of lay everything out there. And then from that point, we develop a financial plan for her, which lays out, an example financial plan could be, okay, we're going to cover 10 months of your rent. We're going to cover 7 months of your car payment, and 5 months of your groceries. And we're also going to help you get on, these other programs. So that's kind of tapered off because our program is designed to help women get back on their feet. And if you're just cutting all bills off at one time, that's really overwhelming.
Yes.
And so during that time as well, then she'll sign off on that, that financial plan to make sure we're all on the same page and she knows what our support is going to look like. And then we just get started. We pay her bills directly to where they're due. So we get permission to access, maybe her online phone bill or whatever it is. And then the other thing is we offer support groups during and after the pregnancy. So it could be, we have donors that come on that are pediatricians, that are professionals, that train the moms. We also have financial coaching so they can learn to budget and learn to get out of debt and just have some advice in that sense. And just have, another way of community, meet other moms. So it's a pretty comprehensive program that we have. So
I'm so impressed. I'm impressed the way you have described that, your process. First of all, you guys will respond to messages on social media. That's really important. I've seen some pro-life organizations, some crisis pregnancy centers where you have to be on their website and click a precise button. You got to go dig around for the I need help button, right? And you guys respond through social media. I think making it simple is very important.
The other thing that we do too is something I guess, and this is probably something else that stands out between us and maybe other organizations, is we don't take a break from our hotline. So we do, in a sense, it's late night, but we run our hotline until I think 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern, even on holidays. So our team is just very dedicated. So we're never, taking the weekends off. Our hotline is running. So if a mom calls on Sunday night, someone's going to be there to answer for her. So this is just something that is available. And, we also ask, we require ultrasounds and other verification and things like that. But these women are really able to actually reach us. So
that's great. And then the other thing that stood out to me is that you guys make the direct payments for her bills. And from my own experience, I can say that's very helpful for her because then she doesn't have to worry about the tax burden of those giftings. So that's incredibly important. Man, I love your process.
Thank you.
Generally speaking, let's talk a little bit about finances. What are your monthly goals for support? Can people see where their money is going? How can they interact with that side of things?
Absolutely. So we have a number of different ways that people can donate. The most popular is through our crowdfunding. So we run one fundraiser about every week. And those are for real moms that are coming in that have abortions scheduled. So we run those crowdfunding fundraisers, and people typically donate around $67 as average. And then from that point, that kind of goes into our cultivation and stewardship process. They're thanked with a handwritten thank you card. And they also get email updates, call updates throughout and after the mom's pregnancy that they donated to. So they can see ultrasounds. They can, learn about the support groups that she's been going to. So we stay in constant communication so they know just how much their, dollar is going, just how much these moms are getting the support they need. We also have monthly givers. So that's our Heartbeat Club. And with that, we have, again, more cultivation, more communication about all the projects that are being able to be done because of that donation, all the women that are being helped. Pictures of babies are always the most popular. We get the highest open rates when there's a baby born. And it's just absolutely amazing. There's different levels of giving for that. And then we also have our Adopt a Mom program, which is our direct sponsorship program. So typically a lot of churches like to participate in that, but we've had individuals as well. And that's where, a community can raise money together and adopt a mom and support her and her baby throughout her pregnancy. And they get to meet her baby, do a virtual baby shower, send letters and gifts her way, as well as the financial support. So it's more of a one-on-one type thing, but no matter how someone donates, they will know just where their donation is going and the impact that it's having.
That's great. Economics right now, our financial situation right now is hard on everybody. So what would you say to the person who's thinking to themselves, I could only donate like $5 a month, but that's not enough to positively impact anything? What would you say about that?
I would say that any amount can positively impact legitimately. And it's not even just about the amount, it's about what you can do and you're giving from your heart. And that's the biggest impact, is when people are actually giving from their heart. The other thing that we just came out with, and this is pretty much the answer to this question, is we came out with a platform and a program called Fund Life. I Fund Life. And we had this idea that we could create a movement of people that put money towards funding life, because there's organizations that raise money to fund abortion. So why can't we fund life? So we created a platform where it's kind of like a GoFundMe style platform for pro-life crowdfunding for Let Them Live. So if someone doesn't really have a lot of money, what they can do is they can go to ifundlife.org, create a campaign, set the amount, describe why it's important to them, and actually send that to their family and friends so their family and friends can donate.
Oh, cool.
And so that's a really great way to not only raise money for Let Them Live, but also introduce us to new donors that could potentially become longer term donors. And there's also other ways for people to get involved. Volunteering is a huge one. A majority of the people that, help Let Them Live are volunteers. So there's lots of volunteer opportunities. There's also internship program that we have. And there's just so many options, like partnerships, even just connecting us to your church. So if someone can't donate, but they are part of a church that might want to do Adopt a Mom, like that might be a great connection there. So there's always some way to help.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing everything that you're doing. I think your mission is excellent. I think your focus is spot on. And I'm so glad that I got to talk to you today and that I get to share this with my listeners. I'm super excited about it. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm super excited too.
Thank you so much for coming on. And this is not the last that you're going to hear from me, but I just want to say thank you. And I hope that this episode gets you guys some more supporters and that more women in those unplanned, crisis pregnancy situations get to know you as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
I was so impressed by Emily and her work with Let Them Live. If you're looking for a charity that invests in helping women make the choice for life and set them on a path for taking control of their lives, Let Them Live is one wonderful option for you, and I totally endorse them. I have always wanted to use my business, Mere Liberty, to give to a charity that aligns with my own mission and goals. Mere Liberty is about freedom at its most fundamental core. If we're going to cultivate a culture of life, the practical needs of women with unplanned, unwanted, and crisis pregnancies need to be met. And every woman knows, in one way or another, the state has failed to provide solutions it has promised. There's actually a reason for this. But in addition to knowing how communities actually provide these solutions, we also desperately need a theory of human rights that properly reconciles the relationship between women and their offspring. And for all the progress humanity has made, we don't have this. If you want to support Let Them Live, and also want to see the human rights and dignity of women and children reconciled, as well as understanding how to lift humanity out of poverty, I'm giving you a way to do that. Today I'm announcing that 10% of every monthly membership will go directly to Let Them Live. I live in New Mexico, where abortion is essentially decriminalized up to birth. Women are coming here from states outlawing abortion, such as Texas, to get abortions. I want to help Let Them Live expand into New Mexico to give women the choice they deserve, the ways and means to choose life, not this false choice of abortion or suffer. So, please join me in my efforts to challenge and rethink paradigms about women, our offspring, empowerment, agency, rights, and life. Because women and children deserve no less. We deserve Mere Liberty. Visit mereliberty.com/membership/monthly to join today. Thank you for listening to Dare to Think. This is the official podcast of my website, mereliberty.com. There you can find my other episodes, interviews, and articles which seek to challenge and rethink prevailing paradigms. If you like what you heard today and would like to get access to premium content, please consider becoming a monthly member. 10% of every monthly membership will go directly to Let Them Live, a nonprofit aimed at relieving financial hardship for women considering abortions so that they will change their minds and choose life. For as little as $5 a month, you can get early access to all new content, monthly research updates, and a commenter profile so you can interact with me and other members on articles and episodes. Become a premium member and unlock even more benefits. You can find that information at mereliberty.com/membership and click on monthly memberships to learn more. And please do leave a review of Dare to Think on Apple and YouTube and follow me on Facebook and Twitter.